大阪府立体育会館メインイベントは IWAR 選手権であります。今新チャンピオンのザ・シークが花道から入場してまいりました。すでにチャレンジャーの前 IWAR チャンピオン坂口誠二はリングに登場しております。独特の黒のガウン、そして銀であしらいましたアラビアの模様、ベールの奥に輝く瞳は怪人そのものであります。ザ・シークが今登場いたしました。さあリング上に登場したザ・シーク、早くも荒れました。早くも荒れています。花束に襲いかかりましたザ・シークであります。これが突風のように日本を襲いましたアラビアの怪人、新チャンピオンのザ・シークであります。田園コロシアムで坂口が奪われました。その黄金のベルトを今振りかざしまして坂口、そしてお客さんを挑発しておりますザ・シークであります。黒いマント、ゴールドの後ろにはしておりますアラビアのマントであります。東京田園コロシアムでは壮絶な試合を展開いたしまして、チャンピオンの坂口が血の海に沈みまして黄金のチャンピオンベルトを奪われたのであります。坂口にとりましてはこれが最後のチャンスであります。今日の IWAR 選手権試合、これより日本プロレスコミッションより宣言書の朗読であります。早くもザ・シークが田園コロシアムと同じような格好でこのコミッションにちょっかいを出しております。すでにザ・シークのコーナーにはアラビアの絨毯が敷かれております。これから
みんなの気持ちが一つになったら弾ける美味しさバイエルン。
I like バイエルン。
伊藤ハムのバイエルン。
クイズに答えて世紀の一瞬を見よ
う。みんなの気持ちが一つになったら弾ける美味しさバイエルン。
I like バイエルン。
伊藤ハムのバイエルン。
クイズに答えて世紀の一瞬を見よ
う。みんなの気持ちが一つになったら弾ける美味しさバイエルン。
I like バイエルン。
伊藤ハムのバイエルン。
クイズに答えて世紀の一瞬を見よ
う。みんなの気持ちが一つになったら弾ける美味しさバイエルン。
I like バイエルン。
伊藤ハムのバイエルン。
クイズに答えて
Instant replay and other technical first. The program voted #1 by the Wrestling Writers Federation. Join us now for a fast-paced competition of professional wrestling, featuring the top stars from the world's largest governing body, the National Wrestling Alliance.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Southeastern Championship Wrestling. I'm sorry Charlie's not with us today. He's sick, but we do have a exciting program coming in store for you today. Looking around the state, we're looking at coming World's Heavyweight Champion Ric Flair, pole battle royals, elimination matches, the trouble in the stable look like with Mr. Ron Fuller. Now I'd like to talk to Mr. Bob Armstrong.
Well, what I'm out here for, especially the trouble in Stud stable, he seems to be having a few problems, and the word is out that the Tennessee Stud has had his back from his world tour. That just tickles me to death, because ain't nothing I like better than to climb a stepladder and poke his nose. As far as elimination matches, they're giving away a lot of money all over the southeastern area, and like you say, World Heavyweight Champion is on his way back, and I got the shot, and Mr. I'm ready for it.
That's right. Bob, I know right now you probably are the unclowned World's Heavyweight Champion. Now, on several occasions you did defeat him, and just last week I spoke to him in Oklahoma City, and he is not looking for it to come to the Southeast area to face Mr. Bob Armstrong.
Well, I appreciate that. I noticed last time they rated the top 10 wrestlers, I was in the top 5, and he's got a leg lock that's pretty powerful, but I got a sleeper that can do the job too, so I'm waiting on Ric Flair, and I know he's headed this way. I was looking at your card today here, Ronnie. I see you got a tag match with the Mayors and a couple of newcomers there, and also Scott Armstrong, my son, will be wrestling there. Got a really exciting program, and I guess we're ready to get underway.
That's right. We'll see the Nightmares in action today, Southeastern Tag Team Champions. Right now, we'll go to the ring for our first match. Like you always say, when you watch Southeastern NWA, you're watching the best in professional wrestling. When you see the banner of the NWA, you know you're going to be watching some of the professional wrestlers in the country. Now we'll go to the ring for our first match of the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, this match here on Southeastern Wrestling, 1 fall, 10-minute time limit. Introducing first, in the corner to my right, from parts unknown, weighing in at 240 pounds, the Executioner. His opponent from Marietta, Georgia, weighing in at 208 pounds, 1/3 of the Rat Patrol, Scott Armstrong. 1 fall, 10-minute time limit.
Okay, you're facing Scott Armstrong against Executioner. Armstrong is 1/3 of the Rat Patrol. He's been in the southeastern area for long. Good arm drag by Scott Armstrong. Executioner complaining about the pulling of the mask. I'd like now to welcome Bill Ash, the junior champion, here with me.
Well, thank you, Ron. I'm glad to be here. It's nice to be sitting at this desk commentating on a match. As you know, I have wrestled Scott Armstrong many, many times over a several state area. I will say this, he is a typical Armstrong, meaning he's a good wrestler. He grew up in the business. He understands and knows it. It's inbred into him. So if you take this man lightly, he will get you.
That's right. I know he's right on your footsteps at all times for that junior championship. You take right now, extrusion is taking control, arm bar. This is Armstrong comes from the generation of wrestling family, and
yes, I'll say this about Scott Armstrong. He is a very, very good wrestler. He's quick. He doesn't have quite the size some of the other guys do, but he's extremely strong and very agile for his size. And he is very, very knowledgeable in this business. You see there, the man was not quite set for that backdrop, and Scott Armstrong just literally ran over him, even though the other man was heavier. He used his speed combined with his weight and strength to run over the man.
That's one thing you say about Scott Armstrong. He might not be the heaviest guy, but when you always say when they're fighting a man, they're a will pair. He definitely has that will pair. Right there you see a combination, came right back out into an arm bar against the Executioner.
You know that old saying, it's been said many times, but it bears repeating. It's not the size of the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog.
That's a very truthful say there. Now the referee calls for the break. Back to the center of the ring they go.
In this match, Scott Armstrong is wrestling a man that outweighs him by probably a good 20 pounds, and a man that's been around for a while who's an experienced veteran. But then that's one thing about growing up in a wrestling family. Even if you don't have the years in the business, you've got the years growing up around the business, so that's in you. You know it.
That's right. First thing you say, like I was talking to Scott before, his first love was professional wrestling, and you can take that he has proven himself as a professional wrestler right here in the southeastern area.
I will say this, he has been one of my most persistent challengers that I've ever had. I'll make this comment about myself. I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, but I am the best.
Well, I have to say that. You are saying, I won't go that way, but you are the champion, and you do defend your junior title quite often.
Yes, I do, and I've defended it against many of the top junior heavyweights in the country. And I don't just wrestle junior heavyweights, I wrestle all sizes of men, and I hold victories against some of the top men of all weights in the sport. And there, the Executioner picked him up, dropped him across that upper chest, lower throat area, which, even if it doesn't catch you directly in the throat, has a tendency to cut your wind off. Now Armstrong recovered, caught him with a kick. Now he looks like he's firing up, getting a little hostile there. Oh, and I'll say this, Scott Armstrong throws as good a right hand as any man in the business. He's following in the footsteps of his father, Bob Armstrong.
That's right. Okay, headlock by Scott Armstrong. He shoots him off. Scoop slam, drops him behind him.
And he's rolling
with a roll up.
Inside. Now,
there's that big super kick.
Super kick.
3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and the winner of this match, Scott Armstrong.
That's one thing that Scott Armstrong can do. He can think on his feet in a quick situation. That's what makes him a persistent challenger. And the thing that I have to stay on him and have to keep thinking, because if I don't, he'll outthink me. But I will not let that man ever outthink me. Thank you, Ron.
Mr. Ash, thank you very much. Like we said at the early of the show, there are trouble in the stable of the stud, and we are looking at now. I like the Flame is joining me here at the desk. Flame.
Take a couple of minutes here just to explain something. You know, there's a lot of people that are saying that there's dissension in the stable. No, sir. No dissension. That's wishful thinking on the part of a lot of people. To prove that one point, Tennessee Stud is going to make a personal appearance right here on this very program next week. And along with the Tennessee Stud is going to be the entire...
And we are live. Welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Alex Dean. With me tonight, good old Matt Riley. What's going on tonight, Matt?
Oh my God, I had D&D tonight, so
I had DP tonight. So that's one of the stories.
Yeah, it was a big episode of our adventure because short backstory. I wrote this whole entire campaign myself, made everything up, the world, the storylines, everything. And it's a low magic campaign, which that means is like there's not a lot of like magic weapons or magic, trinkets, whatever things to use. But there's supposed to be something somewhere, right? So it also affects the ability of monsters to like transmute whatever. So along the way, our heroes, quote unquote, killed this bear and found the baby and took the baby on as like a mascot and had the baby in a cage and like been like kind of going around feeding the bear, whatever. They skinned the bear, they killed the bear's mother and made cloaks out of it. They gave him extra bonus to hiding and they had bear gloves to help him climbing. And so this last mission we had tonight, the cliffhanger ending, I try to do like good like transition endings each time we play. Like either it leads to a battle or something comes up. It's like, oh, So there's this big magic field that broke out and like kind of show what some magic could do when it happens. And it made the bear cloak that they were wearing transmute to this actual form, which of a human. So the bear cloak became a flesh cloak. And they were all like, oh, God. So the bear claw hands became human hands because that was the skin of the mother they killed.
Oh.
And the baby bear turned into a little boy who was like, you killed my mother, you bastards. It's a power glove. So anyways.
That sounds horrifying, actually.
It was supposed to be horrifying. Like, holy shit. Like, over the years, our group has had some fantastic, horrible moments. One time, our group, like, one of the guys put all these skulls together on a shelf, and he's like, I don't know, I was bored. I put the skull, and like that triggered the monster attack. Another time, one of the guys, there was this woman like crying on an island, so he swam up the island to help her, and she was a succubus. That didn't go well. But we've also had a history of like really some bad attacks, and we had times when players turned on each other and got super ugly. That was fun. Like two of the guys in our group, one doesn't play with us anymore, but that's for other reasons. But as a joke, he was like, I teleport out and I don't take like my friend's character. And the friend was so mad, he pounded the table, got up and took a walk around the block. It's like mad heated, which is how it used to be, because the kid who caused the problem, if you will, liked to push the other guy's buttons.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like IWA, but with dice.
Oh, okay.
Which I say all the time. People say, like, what's the IWA like? I'm like, it's kind of like D&D, but with pro wrestling and steel chairs.
It's the closest thing.
And math.
Yeah,
and lots of math.
There's math involved.
Yeah. So.
No, I feel like doing this surprise Tubecast is the number one to make sure we get teams up and operational, which took me an extra, 30 minutes to get working.
It was funny. You were like, let's go. I'm like, okay.
So, that was the main purpose of this show. And just to see what everyone's up to, kind of a mid-cycle refresh, perhaps.
Yes.
Maybe we'll talk a little Hall of Fame. Maybe we'll talk a little pay-per-view action.
Yeah, some crazy results. I always say that the thing about the league with the IWARs is that when we have our events, we have things going on, it adds an extra layer to the game. And this is a cycle, is a good example where a guy did not have a great cycle with some of my scores, but the guys in events or in pay-per-views did. So, hooray. Let me see here. NWL. Well, some of you may have noticed or may not if you're a newer player, but one of the things we have is the NWL Hall of Fame. Hold on while I stop to laugh at Soul Train Jones in a wheelchair.
What?
And the NWL Hall of Fame had some new entries, but they had 4 wrestlers from the current class, which is 2024. I think I had 1 wrestler in 2023 and no one else But then I added 2 new sections of the NWL Hall of Fame: tag teams and 6-man teams. So.
And what are some of the criteria for the NWL Hall of Fame?
The first criteria I always consider to be memorability. Like, how memorable were they? I don't know if that's a word or not. But anyways,
yeah, it's pretty close.
Close enough. Yeah. I'd say the number one is, did they stand out as a character? You know, because we've had some guys who did very, very well with like stats.
Yeah.
But there nothing about them otherwise is memorable. I mean, there was a guy actually who ran a trio, and they had the record for one of the things for like 6-man belts for a while.
Yeah.
And never cut a promo. Never. It was like, just okay, you know, fine. But I always feel like, you know, we talk about sometimes too about the IWAR. Like, if you have a choice to play in other leagues, why do you play in the IWAR? Like, our leagues are tough. Maybe that's what it is. They're
Not
tougher
easy.
than most. We have a lot of good players. We have a lot of some of the best players in the game play in our leagues.
Yeah.
So that makes winning tag or 6-man or whatever more difficult. So I would say first thing first, you know, like, it's the IWAR style of play is about storylines and character and angles and memories, you know, memorable moments. And
gotta talk.
when I look at like some of the wrestlers, like, you know, like, really stood out in my memory of all time, I never once think, well, how many points do they have?
Right.
I mean, that can be a fun thing. Like, I know like Bruce Inferno had a lot of points, but that stable was a lot of fun, you know? And I look back at like Koenig, one of the first Hall of Famers. He had awesome promos.
Yeah.
Whereas a guy like Rock Hard Rod Cox always enjoyed the promos, Derek's work.
Yeah.
Damien had like a 1-year run, and he like, once his time in the NWL was up, he left the game.
Yeah.
But he was a great character.
Yeah.
He had a great feud with the role model Jimmy Digital. He stole his wife, all his kids stuff, you know, like terrible stuff. Great promo, great angles. You know, left the game. And you know, we talk about sometimes, like, when you leave the NWL, the bigger leagues are harder. They just are. You know, and some guys get disheartened. And I always say it's a double-sided sword. Like, we had a guy years ago, 2 guys actually. They had a tag team. Their second cycle in the game, they had wrestlers in the NWL. They sent a tag team to another league. So they have a tag team in one league. They have wrestlers in the NWL. In their second cycle, they won the IWA tag belts.
That sucks.
And they were happy to do that. But then, like, every cycle after, we didn't win. They thought they were going to win the IWA tag belts every single cycle.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude. Like, it's hard.
No,
you know,
it's very difficult. It's very difficult to win it at the NWL. It's just tough. So
yeah. So
you gotta kind of readjust your, especially like now in the NWL too. Like, if you're active in the NWL right now, you're probably gonna win a championship, especially if you have multiple guys. If you have an understanding of how strategies work, so you'll end up being on the title page more often than not. But you have to understand, once you go to a vet league, like, you know, you may see 3-4 regionals a year if you're lucky. You can sneak in to get a TV, sneak in to get a league. You know, there's guys that go like entire years without winning league. Like, that's something, like, those are more, you know, highly contested championships than they might be used to. So you got to kind of adjust your expectations overall.
Right, and I always say too,
that's where pay-per-views and stuff come into play.
Right, and that's where the character story. Like, I've seen players come along who, and it happens sometimes because I think in the NWL we have so many guys and we push that creative style on the players and really promote it, that really embrace it. And there are other guys in the NWL that do embrace it. So there's a lot of guys working with each other that have a lot of fun, and then they get to a new league and they don't quite feel the same buzz. And I'm trying to get better. I've been working this for a long time at transitioning the guys to the new leagues.
Yeah.
And
it's hard.
Like in the BRL, in the BRL, we had AJ Hammer come out as the first. He won the elimination chamber, and he got a shot at the global championships. That had his thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
We had King Khan come in and had a huge angle with Double R, Rob Ratliff. I almost called him Robert Redford. I'm not tired. And then you had Ricky Savage and Sid Credence come in and do their thing. So, like some guys are more polished, it's easier. Like a TZ can come in and do his thing and not really need to be, handheld.
No.
But other guys need to have a little bit more, like, tag work, if you will. And I've had players express to me, like one player just took a break, and I was like, "Oh, is there anything particular?" He's like, I don't feel like I'm really hitching on anything," and I can relate because I'm like in IWL. I've had a time where I just feel like I'm spinning my wheels, or like Barry Stevens, like, "What am I doing?" Or this happens sometimes too. Is the guy you get paired up with goes inactive, leaves the game, changes leagues. It's like,
but
what the
use
hell?
it.
Like,
use everything. I mean, like that's the way you got to consider it. Like, you use everything. So if you're in a feud with somebody and they leave, they left because of me. Oh, they left because I was beating them up too bad.
Yep.
There's I ran them out of the league, and that kind of stuff. You can always go back and say that stuff. Use everything, and we don't talk about casting wide nets. Like, talk about, don't just limit yourself to talking about one person. Talk about 4. Someone will respond.
One thing that works surprisingly well when it comes to promos is like the pettiest of insults, like just being like, "You're a jerk." I remember with LePage Turner in the NWL.
Yeah.
I went wide net and I just ticked off everybody to the point where the entire league attacked LePage Turner. Remember, they didn't know I ran him at the time.
Yeah.
And like Larry Sullivan sends me an email, "Here, a lot of us work together on this," and it's like a 4-page promo beating the shit out of LePage Turner to the point where a special needs kid comes in, special needs, the Make-A-Wish kid comes in and like punches him as he's in the hospital bed.
His name is Billy. He has a name. We never call him Billy. Make-A-Wish.
Not
Billy.
only that, but years later, LePage Turner cut a promo and was pissing on a gravestone, and it was the kid's grave. That's long-term storytelling.
I think of one thing. I think Luther super kicked his mom while she was pregnant.
Yes.
His dad was deployed in Iraq and died. Like, I'm trying to give this kid the worst backstory ever.
Yeah, I always enjoy stuff when we do stuff like that, where it's like we have, follow up. And I always say one of the things I like a lot of players who play the game is they take what you give them. Like I remember last year when Big Guns Greg Garner was the IWAR MVP of the year.
Yeah.
It was not based on his championships. It was not based on his stats. It was based on, a career where he's done this for a long time. If you do an attack or if you have a promo and you mention like my favorite ice cream vendor, he's going to come out and beat up that ice cream vendor the next month.
Of course.
Or like I've always, Jimmy the popcorn vendor, he's been there for years. He's great. The next month he's going to beat Jimmy unconscious with a chain, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm just saying it's a simple detail, but like, to get back to the point about NWL, like the wrestlers, some of the guys in there were such spectacular characters. Norman Lou and Kevkis. Yeah. Rod Camino's promos from the bathtub, the hot tub promos he used to do. Flashy Jack Ferdinand, Stevie Vertigo, like Zydrate with the face mask, like all this crazy shit. The Hebrew Hammer, Larry Horowitz, that whole turn and everything. Like, it was great and it was fun. And
I got burned on that pick too. Like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. That's another thing too. I always tell players, if you're gonna enter the draft, please just show up in the league. You don't have to win the event. Like, it's funny because Jim Jensen was writing to me. He was like, "Hey man, who won the IWAR draft?" And if I scoring this correctly, there's 3 guys tied for first. I don't want to say who they are yet. But what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I want to put the 3 of them in a 3-way match in the Super Show as part of the show. That's kind of a cool thing. Like, have the IWAR draft final. And maybe we'll do it from now on. Like, we'll have the final be between the top 2 scorers, and then the winner gets a title shot,
Yeah.
And the Super Shows, if you haven't heard yet, we're putting like a IWAR-wide event together that's going to be like kind of like Clash of the Champions or Prater Champions or other champions, like a Super Show.
AWA Blood on the Sand, which is a show that no one ever talks about, by the way.
Right, so
Wrestle Rock, or I guess they would call it Forbidden Door now, like have all kinds of stuff. And we have. I saw a movie called Forbidden Door in like 1998.
Yeah, well.
Had Jenna Jameson in it.
Jenna Jameson. She's
No,
still
it was
alive. Or
Forbidden
she dead?
Backdoor, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, yep. There goes the monetization. Anyways,
Ooh. Johnny
so
B's already mad.
I know Johnny P's like spitting his coffee out. Oh, I'm kidding. It's his latte. So the 4 wrestlers in the you're just banging out now while we're talking about it. All right. So the 2024 class, there were 5 wrestlers. There was Norman the Loon Kevkis in the 2023 season, and I kind of base it on when you leave the league.
Yep.
So Norman the Loon Kevkis was this insane maniac. He led a group called the Institution. It was him, Future Man, and he's now called Professor Algernon. As a trio, and as the promos were off the hook, bizarre. You had a guy from the future, you had an insane mental patient, and hilarity ensued. And the muscle of the group, Algernon, you know, and that was part of like a really huge part of the league when it came to like the setup and feud and whatnot. Getting into 2024, we have 4 wrestlers. The reprobate Lanny Teague, who was a dominant wrestler when it came to singles wrestling, if you will, like a strat wise, and promo wise. He built this, this trailer park anti-hero with his, white trash valet Lori, and he just was solid promos, storylines, and you had him like the guy, like, the common man, and then the other side of the coin, you had Greg E. Money from New Money Incorporated, oozing money. The promos, also well written, slick, really high level stuff when it came to that. Kind of gave off a what's his name, Will Ospreay vibe, like a really mouthy, high, like kind of a blend of a few things, which is nice because I always feel like I don't know how you feel, but I'd rather see a player come up with a completely original character overall every time. Number one. But if you're not blending different styles, which honestly, how many guys these days are a completely original character?
All right.
Joe Hendry?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking like a guy who's like like a guy that's completely out of the box, was doing his own promos, was doing spoof promos when no one else was doing that. Orange Cassidy, kind of his gimmick was, I'm more guys in my head, but like before him, I hadn't seen somebody doing like basically like the casual, I don't give a fuck approach. So, if you create a character, and I look at like these lists here, and like you might say, well, other guys have come up with wealthy Playboy characters. Absolutely. But he put a spin on it that wasn't there from somebody else. Other guys that come up with like white trash, anti-heroes. But he put a different spin on it. He added more depth to it. Double D Christoph, the next guy in the group, was just a solid character. But what he did is he did artwork. And Alex and I will tell you, we love artwork. We love original. Yeah, man. It's a throwback to the way it was back when we played in the old days. And he had like, good artwork, not just like okay, like really good. And he was just this guy down on his luck, kind of like trying to put it together. And what I like about him is he wasn't a simple like, well, he's just like this guy. He was a layered. You had to get to know the character and kind of figure it out, and he just went with it. And then Swamp Sock Jr., which you say to somebody, well, what is Swamp Sock Jr.? Well, he's a sentient, how do you say it?
Yeah.
Sock that wrestles professionally, and he's from a swamp. And it's just so stupid, but it's like, okay. The one thing I would say with Swamp Sock, he did throw. Who was it drafted him? Was it IWL? Was it Derek, or was it?
No, he went to ACW.
Oh, so yeah, Jeremy drafted him for CWL, and he went to ACW. Which I get, you want to go where you want to go, but it's like if you want to do that, then don't enter the draft. Or, hear me out, make 2 wrestlers the same name and run 2 leagues with them.
Could do that.
See what happens.
But like Ryan was like, how do I write a pay-per-view match with him? I'm like, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can do it as like he's in his own mind, but he's just he's like Mick Foley with the fucking puppet in his fucking hand, but he's actually like a wrestler. And he's fucking completely out of his mind. He's the right ones that hocus pocus too. Like no, you write them as they're crazy people because you can't have a sock have a match for a pay-per-view. It's tough.
Yeah.
But like, that's the way I like it. It's like you should probably write it like that, just for it to make sense on a scale.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that when you do it right, it works, and it's not gonna work every single time. Like some guys, like Big Bad Bob and CWL.
Yeah. Which I still think it's someone trolling, but it gotta be. It has to be, right?
It's Johnny B. It's Johnny B.
So. Is this the Goldberg music? Is what makes me think it's trolling is the Goldberg music.
Yeah.
That's such a thing.
Fun fact: I've been working with W2K, and I went out and I did the research. I found a ton of cheat codes.
Okay.
And I plugged them in. I unlocked like 50 new entries or like entrants, and one of them is Goldberg, and it's called like So Who's Next or something like that. And it starts off and it's like the locker room.
Yeah.
And it's the door gets knocked on, and
so he goes
comes
the whole
out,
way
like,
through.
Oh, I'm doing that for somebody. Like, and it's more for me. It's more about the still image, as I'm doing it obviously for, a cover of a magazine or something. But that's just fun. Anyways, it's so dumb, but I love it. So that was for the singles wrestlers.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you look at the NWL page number 54 right now in the current bulletin, it has a list of that. And if you're looking at it, listening to this another time and you're hearing it now, go to the NWL bulletin and you're probably going to see it somewhere, the NWL Hall of Famers page. I just like having it in there. So there's a category we added, 2 categories for multis, tag teams and 6-man teams. So the 6-man teams were as follows. They were from 2023. Norman Kefkis, Future Man, and Mongo is what he called himself back then. And they had 340 points, and this is the new point system, so it might be higher than it used to be. But they were 8-time champions, 3-time TV champions. But again, the institution was just a really fun trio. We go back to 2016. We had Big Blanks 1 and 2 and Blank, and that was a stable called the Blanks.
Yeah.
And they were really a force for a long time. They were the best all-time trio. And then you had in 2000, Joe Fantastic, Blake Valentine, and Steve Larson. And these were guys that they had 5 6-man teams, and they were, again, not so much like the titles didn't stick out, but their promos were awesome.
Yeah.
And he also used like WWE like 2K whatever or whatever it was, 2000 or 19, so his wrestlers' images had like a nice look of like the game engine. So he had promos with color and depth and cutting promos. It was great. And then the last trio to get in the Hall of Fame were Honor Revolt, Nick Dane, Wolf Keenan, and Lachlan Kincaid. And they were in 2022. And again, babyface team, great angle with oh my God, Nightmare Court. And the whole bit where like Mark Justice was a friend of theirs, he turned on them and like just really well set up. And then they went to the BRL and we're kind of there for a while and did okay, but I just got the feeling like they never quite jived. I should have done a better job of like booking them. I really didn't do a good enough job of that. And again, like, I'm trying to get better at like pairing people up with each other. Like, oh, you're a trio. Here's a trio here. I mean, you can't force it. You don't want to do that either. You want to be like, oh, work with these guys.
No,
like
sometimes you have to though.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Dewey and we were talking about like I put the hillbillies in a trios match, and he's like, dude, I don't run them as a trio. I'm like, all right, well, so from our conversation, we worked it out that I'd work Hillbilly Kevin into the North American match,
right?
And it just so happened when I did that, he ended up having the best strategy record, so he won the title. So it worked out that way.
Yeah.
But that's like the thing, like if you have an idea for a commissioner and you're like, hey, I'd rather do this. Run it by him, see what they have to offer. I always go with Alex's thing of like, is it going to be fun? Okay, let's do it. And that works really well.
Yeah, because I don't have it so much now, but I used to have it all the time with people. Just, can I do this? Or can I do this? And I'm like, yeah. Just make sure it's good. Just make sure it's good.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like, don't worry about offending people because they're not. Like, we've had this too, and we haven't seen it in a while where like people get sneak attack and get mad. Like we haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah.
That used to be a thing. It's like, no, that's your job. Your job is that's how wrestling works.
Yeah, I remember like when there was a guy who like attacked my wrestler in BRL and like beat him with like just ridiculous.
Did he throw him off the building?
No, well, that's the guy. I had my guy throw him off the building, and then like you think he killed him, then he looks down and he landed in a dumpster. So I didn't kill him off. Was it fun? Nah, but he got so mad. He was like, "Oh, it was ridiculous." And I was like, "Dude, come on!" And like, it was whatever. Be a baby. Go away.
Like lock it in. Lock it in.
Yeah. Like, come on, man.
As long as you don't get your head cut off by a lightsaber, you're okay.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but just ridiculous. So,
like by the way, I do answer my emails. Sometimes if I don't respond to your emails right away, it means I took an IWA day off because I do that. Like I'll completely unplug from IWA just for like a day or two. But
right.
To answer Gary's question, the answer is yes, yes, and yes. You have 3 questions. They're all
Gary's questions?
Yeah, no, he emailed me a question. So if he's listening to this, the answer is yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I was thinking first name. Was it last name? Or no, that's the first name, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like that with certain guys that write to me and they're like I think I talked about in the last Tubecast about the guy asking about his wrestlers being eliminated in a tournament. And I was like, well, they weren't active as a tag team. And he's no, they were active. And it was like, well, you need to have like for IWAR events, we don't run the match anymore, really.
Yeah.
At least not usually. Almost 90% of the time, I don't. If it gets down to the finals, I might run the matches because it's fun to look at and see.
Usually, sometimes, like especially if they're those matches might get run anyway. You're just running it again too. Like
yeah.
Those matches are
occasionally. It's rare, but occasionally you have that thing where like someone pulls off a 6 hold in a row win.
Right.
And you're like, oh my God, I had a 495, hit a 492. What happened? And it's like 6 holds in a row. And they actually, I remember a couple of years ago, they put it to a vote, like players want to keep this old rule or not.
Yeah.
And I was like, keep it, whatever. It's fine. Like it doesn't happen often. And it's happened to me where I've lost out in a score for a league title. And I know guys in the game have lost out in like 501s with like world titles.
Yeah.
Generally, I probably feel more sympathetic for them, but like, I just I got 1 world title, and that's all I'm a
That's all you ever need, though.
You get one, you're a world champion for all time, right? Yeah. Like the old commercials used to say. Yep. What are you gonna do now? I'm gonna impregnate a cheerleader. Oh my God, that's not the answer. Go to Disney World. Is that Bullington? How do you say it now?
It's Bullman Bolt.
Bullman Bolt marching down the street there.
Yeah, this is for something. Boss. This is something that I'm working on currently.
Nice.
Just for.
Oh.
You'll see it eventually.
Is that no? It's Aussie Deathstrike.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Nice.
But yeah, there's stuff I'm doing. Brian saw something.
Well, this is the kind of stuff we're working on to make it more fun in some ways. Oh,
that's this good man right there.
Magnum TA. That guy knows what the gym is, apparently. Jeez. Yeah, I just spent time earlier today working on some character stuff in the game, and I was trying out some design stuff, and I was going through the different entrances as I unlocked so many of them.
Yeah.
It's still funny. The one entrance I wanted was Triple H's, and I can't unlock it. I'm like, you son of a bitch. It's all right. I'll work around it. Oh, but
so I didn't want to talk pay-per-view since we had so many last cycle.
We did, yeah.
Like I think it might be the record of pay-per-views in one cycle. Usually we stagger these things a little bit better.
Yes.
But I think we all. I think with the cycle off, that everything just we're going to align from here on out now because it was like a reset.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see that as potential. It might be pay-per-views, at the same time, all the time. But
yeah,
one thing that people, especially NWLers, as you go through the process here, like we prefer if you send us stuff versus us writing everything. Because some of those pay-per-views can be very long and it can be very tough. And sometimes you may want to go in a direction that we don't know about. And, don't necessarily wait for us to write out a match. Like, you are more than welcome, and it's actually, we highly encourage that you write your own matches, or at the very least, hey, send me something like, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Then I can incorporate the match. So you're a happy camper, and I don't have to think anymore.
Yeah. No, it's definitely.
Less ideas I have to come up with, the better.
I've had a couple players reach to me and say, "Hey, if this match happens, can I write it up?" Yep.
100%.
And I will, if you know my when I'm doing BRL and I do a Magic Clash, it's like a paragraph or a few sentences.
Yeah.
It's just kind of more about getting the core idea of the story, move along. Because I always feel like when I used to write big, like multi-page matches, and every so often I do that for certain things, if it needs like the space for it, I feel like after a while, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's reading it at all, and I get all like, "Why am I doing this?"
Yeah, I know that the NWO guys that they're still kind of excited, so they're going to read it. And my biggest thing is that every cycle could be someone's first cycle.
Yeah,
and that's one.
Absolutely.
So every cycle, I have to bring it every cycle because it's, I don't want to be like, I want to not do shit, and then someone's first cycle, and like, oh, this sucks. I'm not going to do this anymore. So
yeah,
I have to bring it every time. It's kind of the deal. So that's why like mine are very long and pseudo ridiculous and very Russo-ish, but that's the nature of kind of how I write. And I write it as one complete piece too. So it's like it's one complete thing. So there's things going on, I try to build the world as best I can. That's why like there's a concert in the middle of it for no reason. And then he had the Crunch Boys, which again it's a wrestling reference because they did that show at Wrestle War '89 or whatever. So there's a wrestling. Wait, and I'll do interviews in between matches too, just to kind of like give a break so it's not match. So like we'll do like backstage interviews in between just to make sure it's fun. But again, guys, like send me stuff. Like I'm totally like it's totally cool. Like just send me stuff, or like I want to do this, or if my guy wins, I want this to happen, or my guy loses, I want this to happen. Like do that too. But if you don't if you don't want to actually write out the whole thing, you don't have to. And I can always edit it for you if you like. It's not a problem. So easy peasy there. And then you like use I think the NWO guys use the we call them NPCs, but the non-playable characters pretty well. Would be the backstage interviewers and the ringside doctors and the referees, and just keep on using that as well. So I think overall great job. But like it's funny because when I was doing because Ryan needed that pay-per-view the same day. Lucky for me, I had already written the match, and I wrote the Luther Alexander Eamon Spur match. I wrote with 4 possible endings to that match. To see, I had 2 wins, a loss, and a draw. Just so I could have it.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's like Ryan's like, send me the win and the loss on it. So we're not sure. I was like, all right. So I sent them if Luther would have won and if Luther lost.
Yeah.
The match is exactly the same until you get to the ending. But one thing to think about is when you guys are doing, gimmick matches. Like this was a scaffold match in the Boston Harbor, right? Which for most people in wrestling logic will tell you that hey, that's the blow off, that's the end. So how do you take a scaffold match and make it the beginning instead of making it the end? That was the challenge of writing that match. But when you have someone like Gentleman Jarvis who's on a boat with the royal family and he shoots a cannon at your solid gold helicopter and your helicopter crashes into the scaffold, making everyone fall into the harbor. That's how you start. So it's getting creative that way too. Just like, all right, because I know I'm going to have at least one more match, maybe two more matches with him, and I didn't want to start with like a regular match because when Ryan did this, did the American Revolution theme, and we're going to do it in Boston. Like, all right, now I got to do something with that. So it's using what he's giving me as the commissioner, and I'm using that. So I themed it up. So when we had the entrances of General Jarvis coming on the boats, and Luther with Johnny Appleseed, and Benjamin Franklin making the introduction, and Poem About America with Johnny B. That just adds to that's the way you write matches, because you can't necessarily write match lock up, headlock, punch, kick, body slam. Like it doesn't really work. You have pieces of it in there, but you want to give a more general description of what's happening versus calling it move for move. Now, there's instances in matches when you could do that if you want to. Hey, this is a chain wrestling technical match, and you rattle off 6 holds in a row or whatever, and then you talk about it. But for the most part, it should be all descriptive base.
Right.
Matt,
I know what. No, I mean, I know like in the BRL, I go with kind of a
recap.
A recap, and it's more about like I was saying to one of the guys about because he was asking how do you end a feud, and I said, well, if both players are kind of all set, we'll have a match where it's a blow-off match. And what I generally have done is if it's a match where I just want to make sure we really seal it, I'll say like something effective like, gains a win and, closes out, puts an end to this book chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
And, or if we want to have something where I give something for something to do, generally the person who loses, I'll have something for them to do because they want to move on to a new thing. Because I always feel sometimes like, for example, in real wrestling, if you will, they just built up this Megan Stallion, the hell's her call? Her name, AW, like a challenger. Anyway, they built her up. She challenged Toni Storm. She lost in a little like outwitted type fashion.
Yeah.
But what they've had a habit of doing is building up monster heels to challenge a champion. Yeah. And then when they don't win, it's like, well, where do they go from here? And if you don't give them some sort of outward, they lose in a fashion where it's like they could have been better, or like their manager gets in the way. There's some kind of thing where it happens where it's like, okay, down the line they could have had him. Like there has to be that believability, of plausible, like he could have won that match. If this didn't happen, they would have won.
Yeah.
Similar fashion, like I've had matches or feuds in the like BRL and other leagues where it's completely one-sided.
Yeah.
And I don't write it that way unless they want to have it be like we're going to end. They ask that kind of thing. Okay, fine. Because unless
I had to write guys out of leagues too. Like, oh, you're not active, but you're kind of in this scramble match. Well, you get hurt in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Oh, you're injured now. So yeah.
Yeah, I've had some people who were written out of the like. I remember in the ASL years ago, we had this feud with this stable, and the dudes just like it was kind of a little bit personal as well, and so the dudes were like went inactive. They just stopped playing. They were like, well, I'm not gonna, I don't want, So we had already agreed to this match. So the match when I was a street fight, like anything goes type pinfalls anywhere match, and Barry Stevens and his partners chased them out of the league, and like they ran out of the building, and it was like that was it.
Yeah.
And I was like bitter, like F you, like you're not gonna like work with me, like come on, man. And some players have like players, I think leaving the leagues where it's really like you're leaving like okay, so now I'm gonna like replace you with somebody else. I know some guys come and go in the game. That's very common. Like that's the thing we should talk about too. Like some players, they'll be active for like 6-7 cycles.
Yeah.
Then they go away for a while. Then they come back. And when they come back, they're all in.
Yeah.
They're there. And I always figure, well, if you're in, it's fine. Let's go as long as we can.
Yeah.
But it's harder. You have to realize as a player, as a commissioner,
I don't trust
as the booker, I don't trust you as far as like, you know what, I can't know if I can put you in a title program or give you a title shot, because if you're going to hold, like we had guys do this to us before, where they hold belts and take off or just go inactive, well, now I got to replace you. And then like, oh, I'll come back and I'll want to challenge for my belt. No, you left your belt.
No.
You know, it's like you had a girl at the club, you left her, some other dude picked her up and took her home. You had your shot.
Yeah,
You decided you didn't want it. And that's another thing too. Like, you know, there's a player we both know, I won't name, that is infamous for sending me an email. Not you anymore because you don't talk to him, but he'll send me an email and be like, "Hey, that feud looks really good. Can I at the next pay-per-view, can I have my guy come in and attack them both with a baseball bat, leave them lying?" No, no, you'll be gone in 2 cycles. Why would I do that? I did it one time where he came in and he attacked somebody and set up a match for the next pay-per-view, and he was gone in 2 cycles. And ask you, if you're a player, like, would you want to play with a guy like that?
No.
You know, would you want to work with a guy who's going to, like, not show up? You know, and that's frustrating because, like, you know, I put time and effort into it. I had a guy who was like, I had all these requests for character creations. I created like 10 characters for him, and then he bailed like 3 months later. That's an asshole move.
Sure is.
Like, dude, I don't want to spend my time designing your wrestlers to have you quit the game. Don't ask for them. You want one? Maybe. But I don't do as many as I used to. I used to do like a bunch of wrestles each month, and I stopped doing it.
That kind of behavior gets you fed to tigers.
Yes, fed to tigers.
Any other do's and don'ts? The IWA.
Yeah, I would say, you know, one of the do's is when you cut promos, you know, don't be afraid to, like, I call it the busybody approach. Like, I'll have Adam Cash cut a promo, or like He-Man Hogan, and he'll talk about like somebody else's promo. Nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
Like, he'll make a. I remember an old LePage Turner gimmick was he would have a paragraph where he talked trash about somebody, and he'd be like, "But I'm not going to talk trash about someone like that. I mean, that guy's an idiot, you know, kind of like that guy," and like throw that guy like so catching strays, totally catching strays because you're just all over the place, you know. That sound effect was free, and
fair enough.
Yeah, which, by the way, side timeout, guys, if you want to have a fun game with your girlfriends or wives or whatever, ask them to make special effects sounds. It's like, you know, if you're a guy, like, what's a machine gun sound like? You're like, you know, or right, you know, grenade launcher. Boom. We know sound effects. I just have always found women. It's like so rare to find a woman who can do sound effects, let alone try them. I was like, no, what's a gun sound like? Like, no, get out of here. So that's a fun one to do with your wife. Like, honey, if you can make a sound effect, I'll do this for you. No, ain't happening. But I would just say, you know, comment, like, even I've done this before too with characters where I've had, I think it was LePage Turner again, but like I had him like critiquing other players' characters, like their gimmicks. Like, dude, that character sucks. Like, try this instead, and offers an alternative, which is usually worse. But that's the idea, like, because some people will create characters, like, and we've all seen the promos. It's like the Vince Russo promo.
Yeah.
They walk out and they're like, it's not about the wrestlers at all. It's about them. And like everyone's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
You know, the cringiest promos I've found in IWA, among the cringiest, are when somebody wins the world title, like in the game, you need a little spot to write some, you know, blurb there.
Yeah.
And someone has like a promo where like it's like the old TNA WCW days, like NWO days, where they walk out as a group and it's all the managers.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I know you're a middle-aged dude from like Duluth or whatever. Like, no one's fearing you. I read your name and go, come on, man.
Like, you know what? You know what my favorite one is when they win the world title, and I've seen it done at least 10 times, and they just word for word rewrite that Shane Douglas fucking promo from ECW when he throws down the belt.
Oh, shit.
It's like, oh my god! Like, okay, the first time it was like, haha. Second time, after that, it's like, what the fuck.
Oh yeah,
I'm not saying that I have one prepared for Luther already, just in case, but I do.
No, I was thinking, like, when I had my promo with Sanya Lucha, at the time it was the height of the people were trying to piss on the IWAR and mess with me.
Yeah.
So there was a stable named after me.
Yeah.
And it was like, ho, we'll show him. And I was like, you guys are morons. And not like a playful, like, you guys. It was like, you're fucking idiots. And so I took their stable name and made it like a positive approach of my name. And they got so mad. It was just so childish. It was like, whatever, dude. Because when we first brought the IWAR in and started actually doing it, they were like, wait, we want to have control in this and say. Like, no, you don't have say. You want no part of building this. You have no part in the way it goes.
Nope.
Ryan, I'll never forget Ryan with the IWL. And Ryan, like, just basically broke out of his announcement. Here's what I'm going to do. And the guys were like, who the hell are you to do this? You didn't talk to us about it. And he was like, why would I talk to you? You have nothing to do with it. And that's the arrogance of some players in the game. They're like,
and that's why
that
league still has no stable initials.
What?
And that's why that league still has no stable initials.
Yeah. It is funny because like some of the guys, at the time they would be so bitter about things. And it's like, what do you care? It's not your league. Like I don't care what like a guy like, for instance, like right nowadays, the Wicked Wars League, WWL.
Yeah.
They do some things in there that are a little more, risque or whatever, with
Fair
language
enough.
and whatnot. Do I think it's good for the game? Not particularly, but it's his choice. They can do what they want.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. Like, you have so many options. You can go to like a league with superheroes. You can go to a league with women wrestlers. You can go to leagues with cowboys. It's like, it's just all different things you can do.
Yeah.
And I always feel some of the best characters, what makes them stand out is no matter what league you put them in, they're still going to be entertaining. Like just seeing like, Luther Alexander being back and
better.
Yeah. It's like you get a lot going on with him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I noticed, I mentioned it, but I don't think you really talked about it. But like, I named Luther Alexander as the 2024 IWAR MVP because he tied together this huge angle in the CWL, and then he helped launch the ACW.
Yeah.
All the while running from Big Bad Bob.
And more to come. More to come. I got plans, buddy.
Yeah.
It's when you sit out. How long did I sit out? I think I sat out for 6 months, maybe.
Yeah.
Because Red Scorpion came in pretty. It wasn't very long. I wasn't out for very long. I was out. Luther was out for longer. I wasn't out for very long. I think I was out for maybe 6 to 8 months. Johnny B would know for sure how long I was out for. But I took that time, and like the thing too is like I didn't stop working on it.
Yeah.
I stopped submitting shit, but I didn't stop working on stuff. I worked on stuff the entire time. That's why I have so much stuff I can just throw out.
It is definitely, like,
because when you spend that much time, as much time as we actually spend, and I don't know if you ever sat down and clocked the amount of time. I think I'm somewhere around, I gotta say 8 to 12 hours a week. I mean, on a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 to 12 hours for a 3-week period. I think that's what I run approximately. Of like,
I'll show you.
Not Tubecast, just me sitting down on my computer and working on stuff. Probably 8 to 12 hours in a cycle.
Right. And I will show you this I have notes sometimes I make at work or on the go, and I have little pieces of paper that I'm always jotting things down on. And like, it can be things like as simple as purchase this, or quotes from a customer, or whatever, or bands. Download Beastie Boys this song, right? But then I over here I'll have like my leagues made up, and then I have like initials, and I'll put things like, okay, E-Man Hoven, who his chump of the week will be, but a surprise. But I had an idea. I didn't want to lose it, so I wrote it down. And then when I sit down to write his promo, I will just rattle it off.
Yeah.
And with him, I always go for like the extreme, like just what would be the most brutal thing you could say to somebody. Like, it's pretty much what I do with him. He's a terrible person. That makes it fun.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. For sure.
So, now do we think this is working okay? Like we won't miss a beat?
No, I think I want to see what it looks like when we're running on like three people. But as far as what we're doing, it looks good. And again, guys, this is a YouTube channel, so I'm going to kindly request, you go in, you like some videos, you leave a comment, you share with somebody, or you can just send me money. There's a little. I'm not even kidding. There's a little money sign that you can press, and you can send me money, so I can buy things.
Yeah.
If you so choose. I do put a lot of work into this. So that's your personal choice. But if you don't want to give me cash, and I know, money might be tight for a lot of us. I know it is for me.
Right.
There's stuff that you can do that's not giving me money, like a video or leave a comment or share. You can do those things because all that stuff helps. Like I don't know, the algorithm is so jacked up. I can't even understand it. I try to put it in ChatGPT so they can understand it, and they're like, it don't make no sense. Because I'll give you an example. Like today, this is what happened. So I did a short real fast. So I do them. So I do the From the Pages, which is the magazine show that I do now.
Yeah.
So I'll launch the show launches at midnight every day. So it's a news, and then they're somewhere from 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes long. They're not very long. Right? They're not supposed to. They're made for cell phones. Like I personally made them for it, so you can watch it on your cell phone. That's why. Right. That's what they made. But I do make shorts of them too. So what a short is, a 60-second clip that you do what they call a remix on YouTube, right? So it's usually the first 60 seconds. I'll run a clip and then I'll just upload it. People who likes to scroll, doom scroll as we used to call it, doom clips, and we'll see them, right? Yep. So I did one on the Suburban Commando program. There's a program for the movie Suburban Commando, right? Which I thought was hilarious, right? So I uploaded the video. It did like 6 views. Like no one fucking watched the shit. Like no one gave a fuck. Yeah. Right? Like all right, it happens. I'm not mad. The next video will do better. I do the fucking short today for it. It's the 6-second short. It got fucking 2,500 views in an hour.
Wow.
It's the same fucking video.
Yeah.
It's just a 60-second version of it. Like, why did this one get recommended for people and people were able to watch it 2,500 times versus the other one that only got like 3 or 4 or 5 views? So I don't understand the algorithm, like why this video takes off. And they're all similar content. They're not anything weird. So like now I do the From the Pages show. I do the 60-second game reviews on wrestling games. So it's just 60 seconds on whatever wrestling game I choose. These are every day. So we do them every day. Pump them out. Yeah. Pumping out content. Fuck it. We gotta go. So I do those videos every day. So again, if you see the little notification bell, just watch the video. It's 60 seconds of your life. You're never gonna get that back anyway. If you're on the toilet, it's perfect for the toilet. Yeah. It's what it's built for. And you sit there on the phone on the toilet. Well, watch it. Then leave a comment because that helps. That helps too because it gets in the algorithm, and the more comments you leave, the more it gets recommended to other people. That's the way it goes. That's the way it works. Right. So do that. Do me a favor. If you appreciate anything that we do here, hook me up. Might bring back that Amazon affiliate.
Yes.
But this seems to be working okay. Again, guys, leave your comments, and we will check you out for the next Tubecast. It's not next week, is it? It's the week after, correct?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
So that would be we're looking at the 22nd. Will be for the next Tubecast.
Yes.
And I may do another sneak attack Tubecast anyway. So who knows?
Excellent.
But, we'll take a look at those. All right, guys, so we are officially out of time. So for Matt Riley, I'm Alex G.